At least two banks have rushed to appoint new CEOs in line with the central bank's policy to limit the tenure of banking executives. Now, both UBA and Zenith Bank announces appointees to take the helm from August the 1st. Now, Olukoya, so how is it being seen in Lagos, this move? Is it seen as a good move?
It's seen as a positive move. It's quite a big move by the CBN to limit bank MDs to 10 years, to 5-year tenures. And the speed and alacrity which both institutions have moved to show they have some succession planning in place and appointed respective DMDs to take over is positive. It shows them agreeing to CBN's moves and having suitable enough succession planning to be able to make a decision pretty quickly.
And what else is happening now in the wake of this determination by the central bank to sort of shake up and clean up, if you like, the banking system in Nigeria? Is this just the first of many, you think?
We expect more reforms to be announced by the CBN. For example, in October 2009, CBN did mention that they were reviewing, they sent a circular out that they were reviewing the appointment of current as well as prospective new executive directors, and that there should be something will come out from that. We haven't heard what the result of that review is. But I think we should also bear in mind that these appointments that have been made by the banks have been made by the bank boards, but they still have to be approved by CBN. So for example, UBA announced new executive directors as well onto the board, as well as the new MD. So all those appointments will have to be approved by CBN, and so we wait to see whether CBN will approve them and for the next step going forward.
So what about the health of banking on the ground right now? I mean, there's been a lot of talk, but is there any tangible sign that things might be getting better in Nigeria?
Not really. What we're seeing now, banks are actually very liquid at the moment through this some CBN measures, especially the MPC measures, and also we're also seeing that the banks went through a massive deposit taking exercise just before year-end to boost their balance sheets for the December 31st year-end across all the sectors. What we're hearing now is that a lot of those deposits that we're taking, the banks are not renewing them because they're quite expensive. So I don't think we're going to see any real movement in the banking sector until we hear the results of the common year-end for all the banks. I think once we have that, we have a clearer picture of which bank is which, and we think they're going to go forward there. Because coupled with that, we also have the recapitalization exercise on the 8 banks the CBN's taken over, which have reached an advanced stage according to CBN. And so until we get some stability in the sector in respect of those two things, I don't think we'll see any movement really in the banking sector.
So, Olukoya, hold that thought there. Dexter, you're listening in the studio. What do you think about what you've been hearing from Lagos?
I think from our end, we've been pretty much positive on Nigeria and bullish on development we might see. And from what we can see, actually, we don't expect major changes in the interim. But over time, should we start to see commodities such as the oil price stabilize or even appreciate in value over the next couple of six months to a year, our outlook on Nigeria will remain positive. We think over time, if we have a bit of stability on the political side and also a bit of stability on the regulatory side in terms of the banking industry, we should start to see the market actually come through and give positive gains for investors.
Okay, Olukoya, back to you live in Lagos. What about the new men in the jobs then? The new man at UBA, I understand he's a former colleague of yours. How's he being viewed?
I think it's an interesting move. It shows he has been deputy managing director at one of 2 deputy managing directors at UBA for a couple of years. He was also part of the team that took over UBA when Standard Trust Bank and UBA merged in 2005. So he's been there. He's part of the strategy. He's looked over strategic areas such as he was in charge of the South, which is basically where most of their revenue from UBA comes. He's also been part of in the IT sector. So he's been around various areas of the banks, has been quite involved in the strategy. So we don't see much change going to happen to the UBA strategy, which seems to be based a lot on international expansion at the moment. So we don't see much change there. It's similar with Zenith. The man appointed was a DMD in Zenith since 2001, as part of the initial management that started Zenith from the start. So he's he's been an in-depth player in the Zenith's growth story, and so we don't see much changes there. And I think both appointments will bring stability to both institutions.